everyone. I'm here today with a guest that needs no introduction. Alex Su, the LinkedIn legend, the Twitter monster, the absolute meme lord. I think that's enough hyping, Alex. A man that needs, again, no introduction. But Alex, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Matt. I mean, this is a lot of fun. I'm the head of community development at Ironclad. I make memes, I make TikToks. I'm pretty active on social media, which is what I'm best known for. But I also do a lot of work with legal tech and CLM. But yeah, really great to be here. And congrats to you on the new job. I feel like it's super, super exciting to have you be part of the community movement. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
No, I appreciate it, man. And I'm excited you're here. I think our audience loves your memes. I love your memes. And I think they'll get definitely a kick out of us kind of talking about the industry. So the topic is going viral. And I thought, what better time than when I jumped into a similar role that you're in to kind of discuss, really inside baseball, behind the scenes on social media posts, the TikToks, the memes, the creation of truly iconic things such as, the phone, man. The Fisher-Price phone is the greatest.
Yeah. I got the phone right here. Yeah. It's, I never imagined I'd go viral, but this phone, I use it as a prop in one of my early TikToks. And because people liked it so much, I kept on using it again and again. But yeah, I mean, going viral, like it's kind of a crazy phenomenon because when you think about how many people see the content you create, I mean, it's just so many people. And I remember the first time I went viral was probably in 2017 on LinkedIn. So this is like way before people were using LinkedIn. Lawyers were using LinkedIn to talk about anything other than their resume. So I had put out a post about leaving the law or something like that. And I picked up 1,000 likes and it was the craziest thing in my entire experience. And so since then I've done it several times and it's a weird vibe. You've gone viral before. You know how it's crazy how the reaction comes when you go viral because it's not just the people it's like everyone in the world.
People are texting they'll take a screenshot, right, of your LinkedIn post or your Twitter.
Yeah.
And it'll be somebody out in Oklahoma saying, "Hey, did you see this funny thing?" And you're like, "That was me. I posted that." Or, well, let me ask you this, Alex, because this feels surreal to me, and I'm sure probably for you as well. I will post something, it'll go viral, thousands of likes, maybe millions of views. But at the end of the day, I don't really know what that means because I'm filming it and I'm doing it in this little office in Florida. Do you have the same kind of perspective?
It's the same for me. I mean, I've really gone viral a lot during the pandemic. So I had very little experience going viral in when I was before the pandemic where I was like out and about in the world. So I think the first TikTok video I got viral on, that was probably the most significant in my entire life, I think. That one racked up 2 million views and it was done like 10 feet from where I sleep and next to my kitchen. I made a video to Blinding Lights by the Weeknd. It was about a first-year associate disrespecting a paralegal, and then everybody else, like the partner, the client, the judge, were all like, "Oh, ooh," kind of like that. And that video, the story on that video was that it was the fourth TikTok I made, and at that time I was making videos on TikTok and then posting them on LinkedIn with some decent number of views, but I had no followers on TikTok, so I was like, no one's gonna see this on TikTok. Like I had no followers. That's how it works. You don't have followers, you're not gonna get viewed. But it got picked up, and I remember I was on a work call, and my phone started blowing up, and I got all these messages from people I hadn't talked to in a long time saying, "Hey, you made it onto my TikTok For You page," and I was like, first of all, I didn't know what For You page was. I didn't know what that was, and then. But second, the people were from my past, and my sister, who's a year older than me, she texted me. She's like, "Oh, I saw you on my FYP," and I'm like, "You have TikTok?" Because we're both in our late 30s. It's like this is TikTok's for kids. So it gave me the sense that a lot of people were seeing it, and so that video rocketed up, and I picked up about 8,000 followers just overnight, and it was all done from home. It was kind of crazy because. Who would have guessed that that could happen? Not me.
You're gonna like this. So I took that. That's one of my favorite TikToks of all time, and I'm not blowing smoke. Like I swear to you, I took that TikTok. I don't know if you recall it, and I spliced it, and I added my own like first part of it, and then I took the second part, and that was the first TikTok that I posted that actually got views. Was that TikTok? So it's just it was so relatable, and I think that's the best part about your content is I watched that the original version of it, and I related immediately because I remember someone in my office when I was actually probably multiple times in private practice, somebody talking to the senior paralegal poorly,
Yeah.
and it was like everyone froze and hid under their desk. So watching that, and that's probably why it does so well, is you watch that and it resonated with me and it resonated with 2 million people. So, I mean, that's right. That's how you go viral. It's truly that factor of, I relate to this, right? Would you say so?
Yeah, I think so. And I also think that, virality is not something you can engineer necessarily. Like there's a lot of factors that go into it. So I can't wake up one day and say, I'm going to make a video that's going to, or a post that's going to go viral today. I think you have to have the underlying elements, and that's one of them, which is it's got to be relatable.
Yeah.
This is where I think it's really interesting because a lot of money is spent on corporate marketing to create content that's gonna that's gonna get a lot of engagement. It doesn't really work because I think there are all these unspoken truths in the world that corporate branding like they don't want to say. So like individuals like you and me working out of our bedrooms are able to capture this attention because we say things. And so mine was about first, at one level, it was a first year associate not recognizing that the paralegal was actually very knowledgeable and experienced. But you could see other themes behind it, like, you know, first year associates don't really know what's going on. We all were first year lawyers at one point, and we all remember like the feeling of not knowing what was going on. So there's multiple elements that come into play. And I think and if you kind of look at my other content that's gone viral over the years, it does have to have that relatable element. And it also has to be relatable to a lot of people because in the beginning, I was putting out a lot of content that was relatable really only to me. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like inside jokes about my own life. And then people just wouldn't get it. They wouldn't like it. So you got to also consider like who your audience is and what they find relatable. And like the way I was able to capture attention from for example, in-house lawyer community, which is kind of what my job is now. The in-house counsel community, I learned what was relatable to them because I was a salesperson. I would always pitch software to them again and again, and I would ask them like, "Tell me about your day. Tell me about reviewing contracts. Tell me about everything." So like I would get this information, and that would seed the idea for my videos.
It's brilliant. Yeah, I've noticed that myself where I started posting things as well that was maybe like I think the first stuff that I posted was super niche, like almost insurance defense. So right, I was hitting like maybe 50 lawyers, and even those 50 lawyers were like, "Matt, it's out. Like I don't get it." So I started same thing where I started to realize that things that were a common struggle, if you will, or a common evil or a common issue that we all face, that was the stuff that did well. So I think the one for me that went pretty viral fairly recently was just the meme, right? It was a gentleman walking into court, and the judge says, "Good morning, counsel," and then he says, "Oh, good morning, judge." And then the other guy walks in and he says, "Hey, judge, how you doing?" The judge goes, "Oh, hey, Frank, how you doing?" And the meme is, "I'm in danger." That I think it hit, it was 10,000 likes on Twitter, and it hit, probably 700,000 people, and it's because whether you're a litigator or not, everyone has been in a room where someone has walked in and had a personal relationship with the manager or the person in charge, whoever has the authority.
Exactly.
And just, steamrolled.
Exactly. Yeah. That relatability is kind of it's not native obviously to the legal field, but I think the reason why legal is particularly fertile ground, I guess I'll say it, for memes and going viral is that we don't admit a lot of things in our profession, in our industry. In tech, for example, there are, a lot of truths that are spoken. I mean, companies are always trying to disrupt what's happening. So you always talk about how things are not working. But in legal, like nobody wants to talk about things that aren't working. Nobody wants to talk about problems. Like it's like you have this like facade. And so I think that's why when we create what I think are, silly posts and memes and jokes, like they speak truths that people are like, oh, I that's totally right. And I can't say it at work, but I'll like this and I'll reshare this because I feel so strongly that you're right. It's crazy.
I think you probably too. Like you'll get the direct message on whatever platform, and it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
hey, I can't share this or I can't like it because my boss has me on here, but keep it up. I hate this. And I love those. Those are the greatest messages of all time.
I love those because I think that means that I'm onto something. And I think the first time I realized this was this is before the pandemic when I had a very small following. I used to post things and they weren't funny. They were just kind of like stories from my career journey. And I remember meeting someone at a conference, at a legal tech conference, and they said, "Hey, I know you. You're Alex Sue." And I was like, "Oh, how do you know? Who are you?" You know, and I didn't recognize their name. And they were like, "Oh, I'm a partner at so and so firm. I love your content, but I can't like it because other people would see it, and I would get in trouble for this and that." And so that's why I think it's actually quite interesting because back then I was only on LinkedIn. I think this is a main issue on LinkedIn. But when you look at something like Twitter or TikTok, and to a large extent Instagram, people are more open about liking things they truly resonate with. Whereas LinkedIn, everyone's kind of like, how is this going to make me look? How's this going to make, who's going to see this? So I will find that some of my most viral content on other platforms do not translate on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's it's so true. It has to be very what's the best way to put it? Scaled back at some level, right? My jokes can't be too pointed. They can't be too aggressive, and
Yeah.
yeah, because someone's boss is watching. I mean, you lead me to another question I had for you was let's talk about the stories and the scenarios and situations where our superiors potentially or people watching us that maybe have authority over us are not thrilled with the content, are not thrilled with the pointed post,
Yeah.
posts. Let me ask you this: like, has that happened? Has someone said, "Hey, Alex, cut it off"?
It hasn't happened this year. So ever since I joined Ironclad is you're laughing, right? Because it's so rare. Ironclad,
Yeah.
I've been so surprised because like I've had many conversations and I've had people say, the reason why we see what's working, it's because you're being authentic and that's why it's working. They get it. There's a difference between organizations that get it and don't get it. And so, I used to work at a place where they didn't really get it. And what I would do, let's see, this is when I would post. I posted a lot of weird stuff before. I mean, when you're trying to figure out what works, you always kind of go all over the place. But this is actually a good predictor of what I ended up posting a lot about today, which is that this is back in, we'll call it 2017. I think that was right around when it's happened. I remember that I was posting mainly about my career journey. And then one time I was like, I think I'm going to roast law firm partners, big law partners. I'm going to roast them. And I said something to the extent of something like, big law partners. I actually can't remember what I posted, but I basically said big law partners are always doing this, this, and this. And it's so stupid. Something along those lines. I can't even remember what it was. And I had, it's funny because I was working with a CEO who was pretty outspoken on Twitter. So I was like, oh, this is probably fine. But I got pulled aside, not by the CEO, by someone else, a manager. And I'm going to keep this kind of vague because I'm pretty sure they still follow me and they may hear this podcast. And it wasn't anything that was, I think, crossed the line. They were just concerned. They were like, hey, listen, they pulled me into a room. They were like, hey, listen, Alex, let's talk about this post. Why did you post it? And I was like, well, it's true. It was true from my experience. And, I had worked as a lawyer, and I think the person questioning me hadn't. And so I was like, yeah, this is true. And then they said, do you think this reflects well on the company? Kind of like leaving out in the air, like, and then a follow-up question, who we're targeting, right? And this is a company that was targeting, trying to sell to law firms and maybe big law firms. And so these partners are decision makers. So it was almost like I was being reprimanded. And now they never said to delete it, to their credit. But once they floated that out, I was like, oh my God, like I got in trouble for this. It's not worth it. I should probably scale it back. And so I did. The story of me creating content over the years is kind of like going back and forth between going up and up to the line and
Yeah.
maybe going past it a little bit, but also like pulling back and being more conservative. So that at that moment I was like, oh my God, I'm like scared. Like I'm gonna pull back because I don't want to get fired. But I continued to post different things, and I would continue to get inbound leads, and so it was very valuable from a business perspective. But I have been surprised that over the years and before I went to Ironclad, that the companies I work for never fully appreciated the business value of creating content and going viral. A lot of folks are more scared of what could go wrong versus what could go right.
Sure.
And I think that's what makes Ironclad special because it has a different. We have a very different view of this. But yeah, I got in trouble for it before. It wasn't the last time I got in trouble, but that was the one where it really scared me, and I thought I was going to get fired.
Yeah, I've been there. I'll same thing. I'll be vague. I'll bring it up. But before I do have to give credit where credit's due to Ironclad. Respect to you, respect to Mary, respect to the company for being so understanding and so forward thinking on the content side and on the community side. So I mean, hats
Mm-hmm.
off, man. Not to blow smoke, but I mean, I've got nothing but respect for you guys, and you guys are really leading the way when it comes to community development. So
Yeah, and before you get into that story, like I do think that it's very unique. I was recruited by Ironclad because they accepted my platform and my voice online. They knew what they were getting, and I've always wanted to be like, um, I wanted to thank them show my gratitude by obviously not messing up. But there is some authenticity that where you're going to say things that are risky. I've said some things that I think I put out some stuff that I'm like in my head. I'm like, oh God, the CEO is going to see this, the board's going to see this. I'm going to get in trouble. But I think that it's a real testament to how they view things, and I think there's a lot of companies that view things this way too. Like I think there's a change in how marketing is viewed. I do think that law firms are a little bit behind the curve on this.
yeah.
I don't know if your stories from your law firm days, but yeah, tell me what happened. Like what happened there?
Oh man, where do I start? I mean, that's why I started posting. So I started posting because I was like, no one really liked my social media posting, and same thing. Like I started not funny. I started with like very, very like legal updates. Obviously, legal updates. Very niche posts. Again, for an insurance defense, I was doing a lot of defense work when I started my career, and
Mm-hmm.
they would get some likes, some engagement, but it was just it didn't really resonate with anyone. It really was almost for me. It was like I was posting stuff for myself. So then I started to post things. I think what happened was I posted a video. This is where it started. And I was so frustrated because a client refused to use contracts, just refused. Like it was the weirdest. Like, hey, yeah, handshake. And I'm like, that's not how any of this works. please don't do that. So, and I didn't out them. I didn't out, of course not. I'm not breaking his sort of privileges, but I just put out a video of me super disheveled. And I'm like, please just have a contract. And it resonated with people. And it started to get likes, more likes than I had ever gotten at the point. And I remember getting, like talked to by people in my industry and then people at a law firm that were like, hey, like these are silly videos. I don't know why you're doing this, especially that one, which it's just, you almost look like a sad clown. And I'm like, well, I am a sad clown. So, I mean, oh no, it's on brand. So I understand this is a job. Like the last thing I want to do is to burn a bridge with a client and cost a relationship. So I try to keep things as benign as I could. And I couldn't hold it for much longer. So I did, I think every place I jumped to was more and more tolerable to the content. Because to your point, people realize like, well, if you go viral, the company will get 600,000 views or 500,000 views or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And to generate that kind of marketing, it's really expensive. So people started to get it. But every step of the way, I did get you sure? You sure about that one? Are you sure? And then I have been told in the past to delete some posts. And listen, I have a job now. I'm at Lawtrades, and just like Ironclad, they fully understand the value of content. They fully understand the value of community.
I think the talking tos are inevitable, especially if you work in a conservative place. I found a lot of, for all the challenges I've found in various startups I've worked for, like all of them have overall been pretty supportive because I think when you're trying to disrupt the market, you need to like get your name out there. And so there's a trade-off that you make. Whereas like a law firm, it's kind of like, you don't want to mess with your client base. And I've actually thought a lot about this because I thought, at first I wanted to appeal to law firms, but then I quickly realized this is not the audience that I want to get in front of or want to place at the top of my priority list. It's funny because I'll post some stuff and I've shifted from focusing on law firms. We'll call it law firm leadership or big law firm partners, like the senior partners. The funny thing is if I make fun of big law partners or big law lawyers, the big law people love it. Like we have something in our profession where I think we love to laugh at ourselves,
Yeah.
Which is super cool. But there's always that segment of people who like take it too seriously. And, I've had my share, especially on LinkedIn, of law firm partners swooping in to kind of correct the record. It's so funny because you put out a joke and then they're trying to like, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. They would just like, angrily type stuff. I don't know if they think that they're being like if they're trying to do business development and trying to build a brand for being like really smart, or if they just get really angry. I'm pretty sure a lot of them hate my stuff. But there's a couple of repeat offenders like trolls or people who just like to correct me and I'll make a joke about legalese, for example, like a funny video making fun of legalese and some phrases in a contract. And you'll have a lot of people say, "Oh, yeah, that's pretty funny." And some people say, "Oh, actually, this legalese, this type of term actually has a reason for it. Like, there's like it makes sense like to use it." But then there's always somebody who comes in and kind of like flips over to the table and just says like, "This is stupid." We definitely need all sorts of legalese, and they'll try to defend it. And I think that you see a lot of that with law firms. So I think law firms view themselves as subject matter experts. They like the complexity. They like the dumb rules that we have in place. Not all of them think this way, but I think corporate legal departments and in-house lawyers are more able to appreciate the silliness of everything, and that's why I've kind of focused on them. Humor is a tricky thing, and I think you've been able to do it well because it's hard to be funny without upsetting people or creating the perception that you've offended someone. Not offending people, but like having someone say, "Hey, you might be offending someone." Like, look, I think social media is effective because you can punch up, like you can make fun. So for example, I punch up to big law partners. I think that big law partners make a lot of money. They get a lot of professional respect. And it's what a lot of people aspire to. So I have no problem punching up to them, right? When I say punching down, I think the people who I punch down, like are the people with very few followers who are trying to get, I don't know, seen or visibility. And they do that by like trying to start fights on social media. There is a breed of this. Like there's a couple of guys I'm thinking of actually, of course, guys that on the legal tech Twitter side, that like they seem to like to swoop in all the time. And like anytime I put out something funny, like they're going to either come in and try to correct the record, or if I say, "Hey, here's my experience as a legal tech operator, like here's my experience with sales and marketing," they who have never, done any of that before, they come in and they start correcting, they start correcting me, they start mocking me. But it's like, you got like they get like 5 followers. Like you're just trying to like start a fight just to get more followers. And I'm like, I'm not going to get, caught up in that.
That's why they're doing it. I mean, like, that's the funny part about it is, Alex, you have the fact that I know this offhand is frustrating. And I think in Twitter, you have 11,000 followers. I think that's what you have, or 11. If it's 11, everyone listening, you can tell I'm a super fan. So just like whatever. So what a shocker. So it's funny because you take it as a compliment because you have such a following and such a fan base that these people are like, "Oh my gosh, if I'm known as the guy who fought Alex, I will finally have this horde of people," which is so misguided, but I'll finally have people follow me. The guy taking down Alex.
I don't get it, and like, I'll get like text messages from my friends, right? And they'll forward me. They're like, "Hey, I think this guy's subtweeting you. I think this guy's like making fun of you." And I think most of the time they are, but it's probably like they'll post stuff that's vaguely about the world, but it's obviously very obviously about me. Like I remember one of these subtweets was you know, if you're trying to market to lawyers, like, why would you make fun of them?
Oh my.
Right? That was a really funny, interesting one on so many levels. Like, and then they said something, I don't remember what, maybe it's something slightly mean or you know, ridiculing me. First of all, they're wrong. I think when you make fun of people who like to, you know, who are pretty like confident in themselves, like they find it funny too.
Yeah.
But second, it's like I get subtweeted. I get hater. I see it, right? And I think on a platform like Twitter, when I started out, I wanted to be just like all the other legal technology Twitter people. Like there's a lot of thought leaders there. There's a great community. I think people are pretty smart, but they only talk to each other. Like that's my biggest problem with them. And I didn't want to just talk to them. And I think that I've always been like this. Like I don't just want to talk to my small group of friends. I want to like, you know, talk to more people. And so I moved away from legal tech Twitter, in part because also like the first time I went viral on the topic of going viral, the first time I got viral on legal tech Twitter, I wrote about like why I think corporate legal departments are are better for startups to target than law firms. I wrote this like serious, earnest like think tweet storm,
Yeah.
and it went viral. And you know, people said some nice things, but then after like I went past my first circle of connections, like it went wider, and then all these people came in to criticize me in many different ways. I almost forgot about the story. I just thought of it. Like, and I want to share this with you because it was funny. One group of people said, "These are not novel insights. We've been in the business for 10 years, and we've always known this, right?"
What a trap.
And I know it's like, and of course, like you know, one of them was at a competitor of, you know, another CLM company. So I'm like, you know, you're just hating for hating. And then there are people who like, here's the funny thing, and I guess we can keep this because I feel like now I feel like I'm going up to the edge.
Sure.
My TikTok handle is Legal Tech Bro.
Yeah.
Right. I made my Twitter handle Legal Tech Bro. And then some guy, of course, he shows up and he was like, I think you need to change your name. It's offensive. I listened to him, right? Because I thought I am trying to do something here. I don't want to get distracted by this. So I changed it. But you know, at the time I remember thinking, I was like, who would find it offensive? Is it legal tech people? Is it bros? And the crazy, you know, are the bros offended? Like, because I call myself a bro? Is me not like when you see me and you don't see a bro and I'm pretending that I'm a bro? Like, is that where the offensiveness is? I didn't get it, right? But I didn't want it to distract, so I changed my name because it was like I had just started growing my following.
I have a similar story actually. Actually, I had one recently. I'm gonna just this person is gonna if they hear this, I doubt they'll listen to it, but if they do, your comment was unnecessary and you know it. So I posted it was like a dumb tweet. I was like, Slack. And I think you know this as being in tech. If you attack Slack, there's hordes of people for some reason that will come at you like you've committed a cardinal sin. So I was like, Slack is nothing more than corporate AOL Instant Messenger.
Yeah.
And
I remember seeing that. That was funny.
Yeah, I was like, that's what it is. Just like type. That's all it is to each other. Like, if I could change my Slack handle to like Skater Boy for you, it would just be like the 90s all over again. So somebody like came at me hard about it. Like that's a stupid observation. And plus, why is your mind stuck in 1998? And like posted some GIF saying like you tried. It's like a cake you're throwing out that says you tried or something. And it's legal tech swarms in. And I'm like, all right, sorry for the casual opinion, my fault. But that was one. But the other one that you're making me think about was one of the first posts I made on Twitter was like, so dumb. It was like, today is the day you confront that family member that told you to go to law school, and you ask them why.
I remember that. Yeah.
You ask them why they didn't want you to be happy in life. And this is when I was still GC of that private equity group. And I remember this guy was trying to sell me legal tech, and he quoted my tweet and said, respectfully, this is a trash opinion. And he had tried to sell me like he tried to sell me like a week prior. And I'm like, what's
that? What's that all about? Is this person is he a lawyer? Like did he feel offended that I don't
I don't.
know. I don't see it.
It's a very. I think you'll probably say yourself with your sales background. It's a very bold tactic to dunk on your client. I it's just it's not probably not my approach, but like whatever. But
Well, I think Twitter's an interesting place because, and you and I are both active on both LinkedIn and Twitter. It's such a different place than LinkedIn. And I feel like depending on your personality, and I'm trying to tie this back now to the going viral
sure.
theme, I think that you can go viral on both, but the vibe and the energy is very different in that an uplifting message on LinkedIn has more likely, is very likely to go viral. Um, a On Twitter, on the other hand, roasting other people in a very funny way is very likely to go viral.
Yeah.
And of course, there are exceptions on both ends, but very generally speaking, Twitter, it's like the Wild West, whereas on LinkedIn, it's like the corporate environment, and these somewhat corny jokes and uplifting messages do perform well. I'm still kind of, the jury is still out for me about which platform I prefer. I think that there's good things in both, but I think LinkedIn is where I grew up, like basically my social media platform grew up. And I think that attaching your name to your posts, having accountability to what you're saying, I think it's very valuable. And I think that people on Twitter just try to hide behind an anonymous account and just like create all sorts of, engage in all sorts of toxic behavior, which is why I would lean more towards LinkedIn. Now, I think LinkedIn is not perfect because I think there are cringy posts, mine included. There are cringy posts,
Be here.
right?
I'm there.
I mean, you get, I get it, right? That sometimes you put things that are a bit self-aggrandizing or
Yeah.
overly dramatic, but I think that if the rap against LinkedIn is that too, um, you're too almost polished, I'm okay with that versus the rap against Twitter where you're too toxic.
Yep.
Like that's why I'm always leaning more towards LinkedIn. But I know that a lot of Twitter people hate LinkedIn.
Oh, man. I had posted.
They hate it.
I had posted something recently too. It was like about my job change. I was like, it's all because of the power of social media, and everyone's like, "See, I told you, Twitter can actually change lives." Yeah, LinkedIn. Someone would literally put like, "LinkedIn has never done anything good for me," and I didn't even address LinkedIn in the post. It's like this secret vendetta between the two social media platforms.
I think this is like one of my, I have these theories that are not fully baked. I think that LinkedIn is for extroverts and Twitter's for introverts. I'll tell you why I think that. Um, I have been testing and trying to see if my content can translate into people showing up to events in the real world. And so I did a happy hour in LA about a month ago. You may have seen it, and I just wanted to see who would come out. Like I have 4 platforms I'm active on. It's LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And I posted on all of them. And LinkedIn had the most number of people show up. Instagram actually had quite a few. TikTok surprisingly made a couple. Made a show because I was very surprised about TikTok because TikTok, I feel like the followers are not as consistent. They're a lot younger. They might be all over the world, but Twitter, laid a goose egg. Like nobody from Twitter came.
Why?
Um, and I like the, I promoted it equally, and I think it's partly because people on Twitter are not looking to connect with other people. I think LinkedIn people are looking to connect with people. I think Twitter people are more comfortable with. I mean, you know, you don't even have to use a picture of your own face. Like you're just kind of on there saying, snarky, funny things and very clever things. And I think that Twitter is great for breaking news and reading funny, clever things, but people are less social. And I think maybe sometimes some folks have gotten a lot out of it, maybe through like one-on-one DMs. So I concede that. I've heard of that, stories of that. But as a, if you're a marketer, I mean, I just like, I don't know. Twitter is a rough place.
Yeah. No, listen, I tend to agree. Um, LinkedIn, I will get DMs all the time of people just wanting to literally just have conversations. Hey,
Yeah.
on this. Twitter, I think I've received a handful of DMs, and at least 2 of them contained expletives, um, which was which was not what I expected. But
That's
to your point, I do think it is a more shouting into the vacuum. I can shield my identity. kind of platform. And you're right, LinkedIn is, you're there. And if you say something or you do something that's maybe not the correct business etiquette or not the correct social media etiquette, your boss is there. Your boss will see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, exactly. Exactly. And I think it's funny. I went to an ACC event in about, maybe almost a year ago. No, not a year, half a year ago. I went to Associate of Corporate Counsel, just like ACC with all the in-house lawyers. Average age is much older, maybe like, we'll call it 40, 50 years old, not like TikTok. And I was surprised to find that half of them recognized me. And these were people who are like had more legal experience than me. And I was confused about why. And people started referencing my TikToks, but I realized they were not like, I think that they use LinkedIn and they see the content on LinkedIn and they're out networking. And so I think there's this component where LinkedIn is the platform for older professional folks, people with experience, people who want to meet with each other in person. So it's a great system or I guess environment ecosystem for that. And I think the other platforms, a lot of them don't come close because they're just not designed for business. I was surprised at how ubiquitous LinkedIn was among this this group of so-called lawyers who may not have been the most social media savvy, but all of them use LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
maybe I was wrong about that. Maybe they are actually very social media savvy. They're just not in the Instagrams or the TikToks or the Twitters.
It's true. I think it's a fair point. Which, after this podcast is over, do you think LinkedIn will give us a bunch of swag? I think we've given them so much promotion through this. Like, LinkedIn, if you're listening, I'll take a sweatshirt, like a mug.
I don't know. I know a few people at LinkedIn. I feel like maybe they already know that you and I are just going to keep posting. They don't need to encourage us anymore. I mean, I've been doing this for 5 years, almost 6 years. Also, when I first started off, there were people doing this, and some of these people who have been posting consistently on LinkedIn for a long time. It's really interesting to see how the landscape has evolved of people went viral very easily certain periods of time early on, and so a lot of people, content creators, would post and then they would go viral and they would keep at it, but durability and endurance, a lot of people end up dropping off. The people who end up posting for the long term seem to do the best and get the most out of LinkedIn. So that's why I'm going to do it, and that's why I think they know that they don't need to give me anything special treatment.
Sure.
I got rejected from the Creators Accelerator program, which I was still salty about a little bit, but I realized hey, they're probably trying to encourage other people, and I don't have a huge number of followers compared to some of the people who are selected. So, sure. You know what? I'm still going to keep posting. Maybe I'll just put in some TikToks, roasting LinkedIn.
I gotta start doing that. I gotta jump on that. You had posted one recently, or I don't know how recently it was, but it was the classic changing your job post on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Easily, again, I have to say this every time in this podcast. I'm not blowing smoke, but that is also one of my favorite TikToks of all time, where you're opening up the computer and you're slowly typing in humbled and
yeah. So that one was on TikTok originally, obviously, and it was when you're feeling down,
yeah,
you remember what you did it all for, and then you would think that it's about a family or someone who inspired you to work and grind and keep working hard. But it turns out you just you see me opening my computer, typing in "I'm so humbled" on my LinkedIn. And the funny thing is, it got a lot of likes and comments from LinkedIn people, because I think a couple of my friends who work there, I think as product managers, they might have liked it and commented and that sent it to that group.
Sure.
But that one got over a million views, and I feel like that one performed really well because I guess people find that LinkedIn, this goes towards the cringy part of LinkedIn. People are always acting excessively self-promoting on LinkedIn in a way that you wouldn't in real life. And it's a subject of ridicule. That's why it's such a fun topic for the other platforms to make fun of people posting on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it is. It goes back to the beginning of this podcast with the relatability, right? It's relatable to everyone. It transcends job occupation, transcends life experiences. Everyone has gone on LinkedIn, opened it up, and seen a recruiter post saying,
yeah,
gosh, it's whatever. and it has 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 likes, and everyone cringes on it. So it goes to that relatability, Alex. Well, Alex, let me ask you this. Parting words on going viral, any advice or thoughts or whatever you want your audience to know?
If you want to go viral, I would say keep posting consistently. You never know what's going to hit. And I think sometimes the content that resonates with people the most is not necessarily the content that you spend the most time thinking about or even like the most. It's all about your audience. And so that's why I continue to post consistently, because I never know. Like, even though I have some hunches about what I think people will like, sometimes you get surprised. So yeah, if you want to go viral, just keep posting and maybe it'll hit something.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Alex. And the very last thing, how can people reach you? And if you don't mind, I'd love a plug for Ironclad.
Yeah. So if you want to find me, you can go to LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is the best place to reach me. You can find me on Twitter as well, but just look up Alex Su on LinkedIn. You'll jump to Ironclad's page, check it out. And I would also encourage you to check out Ironclad on Twitter because we have a lot of posts there. Ironclad is doing some really cool stuff. And so if you're an in-house lawyer and you're thinking about contracts and accelerating or speed of generating contracts and creating contracts, getting contracts approved, check it out, ironcladapp.com, or you can check us out on social.
Alex, thank you so much, and I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun.
It was a blast.